What's up, everybody? We're here back at the Rtisan Podcast. I'm so happy to have you guys back with me. I got my a return guest here for you guys. My man's Mike Dub. What's poppin', my dude?
What's going on, Jimmy, my brother?
Yeah, man. I'm good, bro. We suffering through the quarantine like everybody else, but we making it happen out here. So today we're doing another hip hop album. It's a series of albums that we are reviewing, and we're kind of calling like our classic, what we deem as classic albums. And you picked this one, and today the rapper is Common, and we're doing his B album. Pretty much everybody is familiar with Common at this point, I believe. However, I think there's a lot of cats out here who probably know Common more as an actor than as a rapper.
Right.
Bro. And that's kind of shocking to me, to be totally honest, G.
Yeah, remember he used to go by Common Sense.
Exactly. So when I was a shorty coming up, and some of his stuff, you know, one of his classics, "There is a light that shines special for you," and I remember singing that song, and one of either my older cousin, maybe my brother or something, was like, "Oh man, you listen to Common Sense?" I was like, "Yeah, this is Common." He was like, "It's the same dude," you know what I mean? So I wasn't even aware. And as I was doing some research on him, man, the dude really been active since the late 80s, early 90s, bro.
Yeah,
he was rapping back in high school, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he had a beef one time back in the day with Ice Cube. They had a feud that lasted for a few years, actually. So
that's wild. I wasn't even aware of that. What was that about? Do you know?
I can't remember exactly what it was about. I don't know who threw the shot first. I think Common threw the shot first, but I'm not sure who threw the shot first. But Cube was just on his heels after that. Whatever happened, Cube was kind of leading that beef for a little minute.
That's interesting. That was not the time you really wanted to be beefing with Cube, because he was such a star. His pen was nasty,
Common was
bro.
witty too, though. Common was witty with it too back then. So
right,
that was probably a big moment for him. Probably what I'm saying, solidified him as an MC that just wasn't going Common. That is so.
No doubt. That's interesting as hell to me, man. I just learned something. I had no idea it was beefing at that particular time. You know, it's funny you say that, because I also was doing, as I was doing some research, they opened up for NWA when they would come through Chicago and whatnot. So I wonder if there was something going on. You know, I wonder if it had something to do with maybe their content. You know what I mean? Common is more of a conscious rapper, if you want to call it. I don't know if I like that term
quote
too
unquote.
tough. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if I like that term too tough, bro.
Let's see what that was about for a minute.
Yeah, but yeah, he opened for them.
I know they had a little feud. I don't think it was nothing super serious though.
Right. Well, that's probably one of them rap beef thing, bro.
The Biggie Tupac thing, but they had their words, and I wouldn't be surprised if Q probably came here and probably belittle Common or something like that.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's how it started.
No doubt. Another little thing that really opened my eyes to something. I had no idea his mentor was No ID, which isn't shocking. You know what I'm saying? But I read in an interview he said he met Kanye back in '96 when he was hanging out at.
This is like it's giving me technical difficulties.
I still hear you on my end. So.
1 minute.
All right, guys, we had a quick technical difficulty, but we back talking about Common's album B, and we left off talking about his beef with Q, but it didn't amount to much from what we can see. It was probably something that needs to be chronicled in the annals of hip hop, but as far as we see it right now, it's not really something really to focus on too tough. So we were also talking about Jay Dilla and how he used to, not Jay Dilla, how he was with New ID, and he met Kanye back in '96.
Right.
He also used to spend some time when he moved to New York. I did some research, and it said that he was, Dilla being from Detroit, they had like this kind of bond because they were both from the Midwest, living in New York at the time.
Right.
So I really dug that, man. I've had that kind of connection with people too, not just from Chicago, but when I'm in a different type of place or a different place, wherever, and I'm with somebody, like, oh, you come from there? Oh, I'm not too far away from there. it always makes you feel like home is not that far away when you got somebody to link up with, and you got someone like Jay Dilla, who's a legendary producer in hip hop, man.
And then especially when you all both are creators,
right?
That just makes the bond even stronger.
Exactly, bro.
I mean, so I learned that myself as well.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Total side note. When this album came out, I was not aware that he was signed to Kanye. Did not know that, bro.
I didn't know that neither.
Yeah, that's why he produced most of the tracks on his song. He produced like 90% of the album.
Yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah. So this was also, I want to give a quick recap of what was popping in 2005, dog, as we get into this. So I'm going to start, I like to look at what was popping as far as the music, because it always gives me a little, it gives me some context, of what was going on at that particular time. So as far as this album specifically goes, it peaked at number 1 on the hip hop charts in 2005. So it did on Billboard. It did get to number 1 on Billboard. And it peaked at number 2, maybe for it don't really say how many weeks, but it peaked at number 2 on a Billboard 200 in 2005. So that's pretty high for a rap album, bro. Especially a guy like Common, who has never really been the most popular rapper in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not on the mainstream or like the more commercial. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So yeah, that was pretty big. That was probably was that his first big Billboard album?
This is his second album. At this particular point in time, this is his second album that sold more than 500,000 copies.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So this is probably his biggest album to date, though. I think it's his highest selling album at 800,000. So it didn't quite go platinum, but it sold 800,000 copies, which is, once again, I got to stress that that's pretty good. I think one of the things that helped was Kanye was really starting to blow up at this time.
Right.
And I think having Kanye all up and down that album really helped carry the album a little bit as far as just popularity goes.
Yeah, and Kanye was in his bag, like that whole album. He had a hand in every song, but he was in his bag. Like, I think, in my opinion, they had a really, that's when they started really having a chemistry.
Right.
As far as producer MC goes. So Kanye understood his sound, Common understood Kanye's sound, because I don't know if you know this, and I'm gonna keep it real brief, but like Common wasn't too sure of Kanye at first as a rapper, so he didn't really believe in Kanye as a rapper at first, and they talk about that constantly. Mm-hmm. But as far as the music goes, I think they connected with that a little bit, but this album solidified Common's respect for Kanye, like took it to another level, his respect for him to another level as an artist as a whole. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Being behind the scenes and then being able to hold his own on the verse. So,
well, that doesn't shock me, bro, given the fact that he signed to his label. You know what I mean? And allowed him to have this much input on his album. You know what I mean? And like I said, this is his highest selling album, so that says something about their relationship and what kind of magic they were able to create. Mm-hmm. I want to get into some of that stuff, but I'm gonna blow through some of this, some of the stuff that was popping in 2005. So Mariah Carey's album came out in 2005, G, and she was kind of killing it that year. I don't know if you remember that song, "We Belong Together." We belong together. That joint right there. Yeah. It was a hit, bro. It spent 23 weeks in the top 10. Peaked at number 1. Spent 23 weeks in the top 10. Kelly Clarkson, bro. That "Since You've Been Gone," that joint, bro. 20 weeks in the top 10, dog. She had another one called "Behind These Hazel Eyes." I'm not too familiar with that tune, but 15 weeks. There's something I thought was pretty interesting, and this always goes to talk about, for me anyway, it solidifies the popularity of pop music, which is popular music, but the Pussycat Dolls featuring Busta Rhymes, that "Don't You Wish Your Girlfriend Was Hot Like Me." This is like peak Nicole Scherzinger, bro. The first time I saw her, I was like, that's the hottest chick I've ever seen in my life, by the way.
I don't even know all this, like, I don't even know all of them.
It don't matter. I know her, bro. I know who she is. Pig. You know what I'm saying? But
That's not me.
yeah, exactly. 14 weeks in the top 10, dog. Forgot how popular that song was, man. What my favorite female artist of all time, Missy Elliott, Sierra and Fat Man Scoop.
Oh yeah.
That Lose Control. Music makes you lose control. 12 weeks, dog. 12 weeks. Kanye on there. 19 weeks with Gold Digger and Jamie Foxx, bro. That song slams, bro.
Yeah, that's a hit.
You can turn that on right now, G. That song is 15 years old.
You can play that at weddings, receptions.
Dog, it's gonna slap no matter what, no matter where you at.
Any party you play that at.
Any party, G. Any party. My Humps featuring My Humps with the Black Eyed Peas, bro. 16 weeks. Another banger, low key. It's a silly song, but it kind of slams, bro. It slams. They got some really interesting music, man. But that tune go hard, man. And the last one, I got Run It by Chris Brown featuring Joel Santana.
Oh yeah, that was hard. Man.
That did go hard, bro.
Yeah, that was hard.
You know, of his songs, that's actually not the one I thought would have had that kind of run.
Yeah.
I guess having Joel Santana on there and the fact that it was like an upbeat tune helped carry it. But I was always a fan of that Yo. You know what I mean? Yeah. That one I really dug that. And I wasn't the biggest fan of early Chris Brown. You know what I mean? Because it was...
Nah.
Yeah, probably because it was just like this little boy kind of aspect to it. I don't know. But
yeah, it was
the chicks
like
liked him, though.
We, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. I get it. Whatever. And I'm going to blow through these real quick. I'm going to read off the top 10 movies of 2005. Top grossing movies of 2005. Number 1 is Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Number 2, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Number 3, War of the Worlds. I'm shocked that movie was that high. Number 4 was I Am. It was a pretty good movie, but it wasn't that great, G. Chronicles of Narnia was number 4, G.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, that was a fun movie. Wedding Crashers was number 5. Funny as hell.
Funny.
Batman Begins, which reignited my passion for Batman. That movie slammed, bro. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is 7. That's kind of high for that movie, dog. Yeah. That's kind of high. Probably because it was a remake. Madagascar was 8. I love the first one.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith was number 9. That was a fun movie. And Hitch was number 10, G. So, that was the Will Smith joint. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember it. I don't think I was really, I wasn't really into it like that. But I remember it, though.
Yeah, it did numbers, bro. 366 million total, bro. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
I'm not surprised it's Will Smith. So.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You know what I'm saying? It seemed like it was kind of lit during that time.
Yeah, it was some decent movies out, man. Number 11 is King Kong. So I don't know if you saw the remake. The remake was pretty solid, dog.
I'm surprised it's number 11.
Me too. That movie should be where what is that? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, that should replace that.
Yeah, definitely, man. So let's get into this album, big dog.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So before I turn you loose on the album, G, my first impression of this was kind of minimalist, dog. Especially from a production standpoint. It's a little heavy on the sampling for me. It's a little heavy on the sampling. But this is really kind of like early Kanye, as we knew him anyway, where he was doing a lot of that sampling. And, it is what it is. I'm not going to, trip over it too much. But I'm kind of glad it is minimalist, bro, from a production standpoint, because Common comes through real heavy on this. You know what I mean? The tone of his voice, his content, the point he's trying to get across, all that stuff is super apparent to me. The other thing is, another term that come to mind to me for this is home cooking, bro. This album just feels like, you at your Gram's crib. She made that spaghetti and fried fish. You know what I'm saying? And you like, yeah, man, it just feels good. You know what I mean? Like the whole album just kind of feels good. They all about the same tempo. They sound like they all in about the same key.
It keeps a consistent vibe on.
Definitely,
even with even with the more upbeat songs, it still keep the same vibe on, like throughout the album. I think that to me that's what makes the album good though. But yeah.
I love it, man. I love it, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. I got more to say, but I've been talking most of the time, so.
Nah, you good, bro. I like the build up, but yeah, I'm gonna get into like the first joint that came off of that when they was promoting the album. That I first came across was The Food, and that was presented on Dave Chappelle show. And during that time, Dave Chappelle show was a big deal. You know what I mean?
The show it was huge.
Yeah, and Chappelle knew Kanye, kind of. You know what I mean? So he had to come with comment, and that's when we got our first glimpse of The Food, and then the album. You know what I'm saying? So on that, it was real soulful, real rich, and it's funny that you say that. It reminds you of home cooking because the food is kind of like, it gives you that vibe. And then it gives you the Chicago vibe, too, at the same time.
Absolutely.
So that was the first song to me that made me realize, okay, this finna stand out instantly.
Everything about that song go hard, by the way.
Yeah, everything about that song. Now, if I was to give you my take on Common as an artist, necessarily, I first got into him, like, he did like a little concert. And then I started doing research on him. This is when I found out about Jay Dilla as well.
Right.
The other song on this album is not one of his singles on the album, but it's one of my personal favorites, and one of his most popular songs is it's called "Love Is," and that was you know, the sample Marvin Gaye and Jay Dilla did that beat.
Right.
That right there, his pen on "Love Is"
sick, bro.
I've never heard a rapper like that about spirituality, love. You know what I'm saying? Just promoting love and not making it sound like cliche. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was a fire joint off the joint. But I'm gonna tell you my joint that goes the hardest on there. I gotta say "Faithful," and it's one of his singles, I believe.
Okay.
Now, "Faithful." This is semi post John Legend, right? When John Legend first got introduced to us.
Yeah.
He had John Legend on this joint, along with Bilal. You know, Bilal.
Yeah, absolutely.
From mid '90s, early '90s, Bilal had, you know, neo soul, quote unquote neo soul. He was holding it down. The song, I don't want to get into too much, you know, details. If you never heard the song, it is a great song. He's talking about his struggle with being in a relationship, but looking at it, but like being considerate of the woman he's with, you know what I mean? Things like that.
Yeah.
He's talking about being faithful. Now, what tops it off is, yes, they singing, you know, and it's just to, you know, look, but at the ending, bro, they take it to church.
Bro, I love it.
That song showed me, okay, John Legend got chops, and these dudes are there. Like the whole sound, Kanye being behind it. You got a soulful singer like Bilal. You got John Legend. He has a unique, distinct voice, but yet soulful and rich. And then you got Common coming in, you know, being Common. Just add to it, like you said, with tone and you know, consistency and context. To me, that defied the whole concept of what that album was kind of about. Just the whole balance, you know what I'm saying, of that album. Between being witty, you know what I mean, and keeping it quote unquote conscious. Yeah, you got any songs on that album you like that you?
Yeah, man. Actually, the first song off that album that I came in contact with was "The Corner." I wish I could give you this feeling.
Yeah.
I wish I could give you this feeling. That was like, you know what I mean. And I forgot that this track was even on this album, man. And after the intro, that's the first one that comes up on YouTube anyway. I'm gonna link the one I've been watching on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, it was, I mean, man, dog, like, it took me back, bro. I was like, man, I forgot how sick this song was, dog. Totally forget. And then "Go" was another one. I mean, these are the singles that released because, you know, this was when I was heavy into the radio. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We were shorties at the time, but, you know, so we was definitely listening to, you know, 92.3, 107.5. Hell, even B96 was playing a little bit more rap back then. Eddie and Jobo, old ass. They still at it, by the way.
And we wasn't really on listening to music on the internet that heavy.
Exactly. We was burning CDs like a motherfucker at this particular time, bro.
We was in the beginning of that, so.
Yeah. It was there was at least 15 dudes up at Simeon who was burning CDs for money, like making real money doing that shit. At least 15, minimum, bro.
Boy,
minimum, bro. So yeah, man, I kind of came into this album with that, man, and once again, just as far as the production goes, his vocals are just sitting right at the front of every beat, bro.
Yeah.
At the front of every beat, and I really appreciate that. Because he has a very nice, no homo, he has a very nice tone quality to his voice. He never really raises his voice. You know what I'm saying? He never really shouts at any particular time. Nope. But he does get more intense, bro. You know what I'm saying? Which I love. I love that, man. And like I said, the most of the beats on here are kind of lean. They're minimal. They're not robust beats. Not that they're not good. They're just, there isn't a ton going on sonically. But it's okay. I forgive it, quote unquote. I forgive it because I appreciate everything that's happening in the moment. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really feeling that. I read some of the reviews of this album. And it's interesting. The last one we did, we talked about Ludacris, bro. Right. And people, the same thing that people are slamming Ludacris for in the album, that personally is very different. If I had to pick one, I would say that Luda album, I got to give it a little bit of an edge, bro, because of the diversity of music. And I think the production is just like, you said this, that's Luda's best produced album. I got to agree with you.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to.
Yeah, it's but then again, it's different in that way. And I don't really want to, I don't really want to compare them in that way. You know what I'm saying?
It's hard to compare it. As far as production goes, it's definitely hard to compare it.
Right, because they're not similar.
Nah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But the point I wanted to make is this. Critics were giving Common credit for dropping knowledge, being soulful, being minimalist, all the mature things. Crazy. Yeah, but Luda was bringing bars, spitting stuff real, just as much knowledge, bro. You know what I mean? Being just as intelligent. But that album wasn't, and we're talking about Release Therapy, by the way, not nearly as critically acclaimed as far as being something worth listening to. Double XL gave it its highest rating. Something, I forget which one, gave it 4.5 mics. Let me see. Let me see. Who gave it? I can't see. I should have put this down. But it was, dude, it was getting all kinds of crazy, like love. You know what I mean? As it deserved. It's just funny to me how our perceptions of rappers, we don't really let them grow up, it seems like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you got to stay in that lane.
I don't mean to cut you off. Let me ask you this. Do you think the reviews had a lot to do with people putting them in a certain box?
Absolutely.
You know like Ludacris, we put him in that young, like we said, that young fun box. And then Common, we expect him to be, conscious or whatever. So if Common came out and started rapping on some stuff Luda came out with, the reveals that Luda had for trying to drop knowledge, Common would have got that for trying to be, a little more fun. I can definitely see that happening. So I think those reveals just go on our own personal, like what we expect for the artists we like and what we know them for, what they known for, putting them in the box. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not surprised at the reveals. You know what I mean? When it comes down to that.
For sure. So check this out. Let's kind of give a summary of what we think about the album. And I think it'd be fun if we start grading these, actually. So A+ being regardless of genre, you got to check this album out. Period. And the story is, do you consider this to be a classic album?
I do. No hesitation.
Okay. Bet. No hesitation. What grade would you give? I'm putting you on the spot right now. What grade would you give this, bro?
I make this argument a lot. You said A+ being like of course, being high.
Being Illmatic. A+ is Illmatic, right? Or Thriller, or Dark Side of the Moon from Pink Floyd, shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. You know what? It's a classic. I would probably give it. I'm gonna have to give it an A.
Yeah.
I would give it an A. I would give it an A. I would give it an A for sure because it defined the sound and whole defined the sound. Now it didn't have an impact that like an Illmatic had.
Right, I feel that.
It wasn't like super game changing.
Right.
But the reason why I put it at A because to me as a hip hop album, the consistency, the context, the content, the substance, the consistency, the production, everything worked. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Nothing was off. Everything worked. And that's why I have to give it an A as far as a solid project. You know what I mean?
I respect that, big dog. Check it out. I'm going to give it a B+. And the only reason I can't give it an A is for the exact same reasons that you said. I'm going to give it classic album status for sure. Because when I think about hip hop in 2005 and I go back and listen to those songs and like you say, if you think about the lane that the album falls in, it personifies that lane. Beautiful bars, great production, but I don't think the album had the impact that a real classic album could or should have. Like for instance, The Chronic, right? The very first one. You know what I mean? Or Snoop Dogg's very first album, bro. For me, those albums are A's. Period. In the story. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Cats know those songs.
Right.
And impact shouldn't just be the only thing, but I think that's something you have to take into account. The other thing I'm gonna slightly penalize it on, right? I'm gonna slightly penalize it on. Some of the songs. This is still fairly early Kanye he just started to hit the superstar. He just hit his like kind of cruising altitude. You know what I'm saying?
Beginning of his prime.
Yeah, it's beginning prime right here. This is like 01 Kobe, bro. You know what I'm saying? And there's some things, some of the stuff is just it's simply too similar, bro. There's a few songs on here that are too interchangeable for me that kind of pull the album back. And I gotta knock it for that. I gotta knock it for that. So I'm saying a B+.
Yeah, I give you that. Cause I never, but see, I don't know if that's, to me personally, I like a consistent vibe like that where it's not similar. But I see what you're saying. It's similar, but still got the vibe, but you can have similar. B+ is fair. That's pretty fair for B album. But the other albums you compare them to, Snoop Dogg album and Illmatic, and those being their first album having an impact, I wouldn't dare put it on the same level as those, because it took Common about 3 albums to get to that defining point.
This was his 6th one.
Yeah, but to get to the point where you can say, okay, yeah, Common's
right. And not that he wasn't good before that.
No, it's not that he wasn't good, but you saw Common in a different light when he came out with B.
I agree, bro.
We saw him in a different light, and so I wouldn't dare compare that album to those. But on a personal take, that's why I gave it that. But dang, now you got me one of the B+ is definitely fair.
Well, I just say that because if we're gonna, what we're doing is we're grading against. I'm gonna keep it in the hip hop lane, but we're grading it against other classic albums. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of good albums that we're probably never gonna get to here. You know what I'm saying? But for what this is, G, for what it is, and its classic album status, I'm gonna give it classic album status. But I gotta, since it is there, that means I gotta that means on some level it has to cross some borders. You know, it has to cross some lines. It has to have some sort of broad market appeal, and it does. Some of these singers on here really do slam, but it is lacking a little bit of pizzazz, bro. There is something lacking here. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I gotta pull back on it just a little bit. And I can't go ahead and just give it that full blast 8.
Pizzazz? You mean like, okay, I understand. I kind of disagree.
That's fine. You can disagree. That's what this is about, big dog.
Yeah, I kind of disagree a little. You had me. I kind of disagree a little bit. Cause like you said, keeping it in context, I'm looking at the time, everything that's going on. So music was all over the place. Like hip hop was just already brought in. Everybody coming.
Yeah, we in there. We know what's going on. Yeah.
Right. So for Common to come back to, okay, let's not forget to balance this out. You see what I'm saying? I'm thinking of the concept that probably went into it, like the intention. You know what I mean? So
right.
And for him to make a single, his singles still sounded very much Common. It still sounded like him.
Absolutely.
And it's not like he was trying to make a radio hit or now I gotta make a song for the ladies and this and that. And even the songs that he did make, like Go, that's clearly for the ladies, right?
Yeah.
It's a song, but and Faithful, and then let's not forget about Testify.
That was dope. Dope.
I'm like, yeah, that's what I think about. Like he gave us something a little bit different at a time where everything was starting to like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The radio was starting to like aim in one direction, one kind of sound. It seemed like, but that's why I personally gave it that high grade. So I don't know.
So I'm looking up some albums that came out in 05. Late Registration came out. All right, and Sage Francis, A Healthy Distrust came out. I love that album. The Carter 2 came out. And what's another one? I just saw it that I was really digging. The Game's first album, documentary, came out, which I fucking thought was dope as fuck. Now,
crazy competition right there, boy.
That's heavy competition, bro.
That's crazy competition right there.
You know what I'm saying? So I can't say that that album is definitively better than any of those. You know what I'm saying? I can't, and that's why I can't give it. That's one of the things that's kind of holding me back, bro. That's one of the things.
Well, would you say that it's kind of like even against all those other great albums, classic albums, like you said, you just can't say it's better. But would you kind of agree that it's probably in his own lane?
I absolutely would, bro. I absolutely would.
Cause now I give it points for that.
Absolutely, and it's worth it. That's real. That's real.
Yeah, cause those other albums, man,
them tough, bro.
You just took me back, bro.
If you look at some of the hits on this Game album, bro, it's serious, bro.
Though. I'm thinking, you know what I mean?
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Dang, B was definitely had some competition. That's crazy.
It did have some competition, man.
Some old Game and Late Registration.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, classic album status, for sure. If you average out the grades, I gave it a B+, you gave it an A. It sits at an A-, G. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Not bad.
You know what I mean? So, and I won't fight you on that. I just won't.
Appreciate it, because your breakdowns are pretty legit.
Hey, man, I do this shit, dog. I do this shit, man. Yeah, man.
But mine is pretty solid. I mean, if anybody is opinionated, so if anybody, as long as you can respect it, like I get where people come from. Everybody, you know what I'm saying, got different tastes in music, and like you look at music differently than I do.
I do, and I think that's a good thing.
So you're not listening to what I'm listening to when I hear it.
Right.
So whatever grade you give it, I'm definitely gonna respect it off bat, and like, you know what I'm saying, probably pick your brain a little bit on it. But yeah, most definitely B album, Common, classic album, sits at an A-. I'm okay with that.
Dope, man, dope. Well, I want to thank you for joining me on here, man. We're gonna do another one. I'm looking up some stuff right now from the same time frame that we should probably do, man. We could talk about it off air, man, but. I want to thank my boy Mike Dub for coming on, man. We're going to have another one for you next week. We're going to keep these coming. It may or may not be hip-hop. If y'all have some suggestions that y'all want to hear, let us know, and we'll take a listen. All right, that's it for the Rtisan Podcast. Mike, I appreciate you, big dog.
No problem, man. You know what it is.
Bet.